Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Crash Course Trigonometry, where I try to teach you a basic understanding of trigonometry so you can understand the math in your class, in your life, wherever you need it. Today we're going to be going through a few of the applications of what we've learned so far. I'm going to be going through a few examples of, trigonometric functions and their use in normal math problems. So we're going to start with an isosceles triangle. We are given the bottom angle, which is 52 degrees, and we are given the similar side, which is 24 units. We need to solve for x, which is half of the bottom of the triangle, and we need to solve for y, which is the height of the triangle. We're going to start by trying to find x, and there's no way to do this without trigonometry. You need to use sine or cosine to find these. So I'm going to use cosine because we know the angle and we know the hypotenuse, and x is adjacent to the angle. So I'm going to use cosine of theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse, which is part of SOHCAHTOA. It's the ka part. And if we substitute in what we have cosine of 52 equals x, which is adjacent, over the hypotenuse, which is 24. Then, using our calculator, we can solve for x, which equals 14.7759. So, you can't really find the x without using cosine and your trigonometric functions, but really the functions aren't that hard to use. You just substitute in what you have to find what you need. Next, after we have x, which I'm going to circle, we need to find y. So we're left with, we have two sides of this right triangle, so I think the easiest way to do this would be using the Pythagorean Theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we know that c, which is the hypotenuse, is 24, and we know that x, which we can use as a or b, is 14.7 squared plus b squared. And now that we only have one variable, we can solve for b. Using our calculator and normal algebra, we find that b squared equals 357. Then we square root both sides, and we get b equals 18.912. So in this case we use b, but it's the same as y. So we know that y equals 18.912. And that's our final answer. We have solved for x and y in this triangle, and we now know all parts of the triangle. Next, we're going to move on to angles of elevation and depression. This is a new subject, so get your notebooks ready. Angles of elevation and depression commonly get confused with positive and negative angles, but they are different because both angles of elevation and angles of depression are both positive. So imagine you are looking straight ahead, and then you look up and you look down. The angle you are looking up and the angle you are looking down are the angles of elevation or depression. Angles of elevation go up, angles of depression go down, and they are always positive in either direction. So it's a positive angle this way and a positive angle that way. So that's the basics of angles of elevation and depression. Let's move on to an example. So I've written an example on the board. It says a man climbs 213 feet up the side of a pyramid and finds that the angle of depression to his starting point is 52.6 degrees. How high off the ground is he? Well, we start off by drawing the pyramid, which is just a triangle. We are trying to find how high up the man is. So he is at the top up here, so we're trying to find the height, which is h. I'm going to use y though, which is y. From here, if he's looking straight ahead, his angle of depression would be 0. But since he's looking down to his starting point, his angle of depression right here, theta, is equal to 52.6. So theta equals 52.6. We also know that the man climbed 213 feet to get to the top of his pyramid. So we know that this line right here, the hypotenuse of this right triangle, is 213. We now have enough information to find our height of the pyramid. So we know that theta over here is 52.6. and by the parallel line theorem learned in geometry. If these lines right here are parallel, which they are, this angle theta is equal to this angle theta. So we know that this right here is 52.6. 52.6. Next, we can figure out, using sine and cosine and tangent, what the height of our pyramid is. If we take the sine of this angle down here, which I've decided to call angle A, we find that sine is opposite over over hypotenuse. Oh god, I can't spell. Hypotenuse. So we can use sine of 52.6 equals opposite, which is y, over the hypotenuse, which is 213. Then, using our calculator, we can solve it again. You know, you just type sine of 52.6 into your calculator, and then you multiply it by 213 to get y. And our final answer is 169.21 feet. So, you know, using trigonometry, we were able to find out the height of the pyramid pretty easily. And yeah, that's all of the examples I have for this video, and I hope this helps you. Have a wonderful day.